What are the biggest challenges that the chemical suppliers face when working with the Indian tanneries when compared to working with the foreign tanneries?
I think the challenges are different, but they're all driven by purely on a technical nature. The change is something that is very slow in the leather industry. Yeah.
Because for the last, I believe, 5-6 years, a lot of companies are acquiring a lot of companies, especially in chemical space, leather chemical space, more than in tannery space.
It's not really an industry that grows year on year 10%, 20% or something like that. So if you have from a macro point of view, for any chemical company, they'll say, okay, we are in an industry which organically grows at best, at maybe 1 or 1.5%. Now, actually, it doesn't grow that much. Why?
During these uncertain times, does it really make sense for someone to start a new leather chemical business?
So, is it a good time to start a new chemical company business? I think
in major chemical brands that I see in the industry are majorly from European continent. Why is it there? Why we don't see many chemical manufacturers come from India? Where do you see the global leather business heading in the coming years?
in the name of greenwashing, leather is used as from a negative light. This is something that has to change. I still distinctly remember there is a campaign which talks about, so every 25 minutes a Olympic-sized swimming pool of oil is consumed. So it's really talking about carbon footprint in a way which a guy on the street can understand. There is also an ad, I think, where every single synthetic clothing, like a zombie movie, were to come alive and start chasing, just to say that once it is synthetic, it never leaves the planet. There is always a footprint remains throughout, whereas that is not the case with wool. I think the same thing is also applicable for leather.
So at last, sir, what advice would you like to give to someone who wants to build a brand, a long-term brand in leather chemical space? Our guest today is Mr. Arun Janakiraman, a globally experienced leader in leather and leather chemical sector with over 20 years of experience across Europe and Asia. He has held senior roles in companies such as BASF, Lanxess, and Pittards, leading initiatives such as chemical production to product management to strategy, global technical teams, and international business expansion. He is currently the business director, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and the managing director of Smit and Zoon India Private Limited. In this episode, we dive deep into the business of leather chemicals. We discuss where the global market is heading and what Indian tanners must do to accelerate cleaner and safer production. Whether it still makes sense to start a new leather chemical manufacturing business, and how long it takes to build trust with tanners. And the biggest lessons Mr. Arun has learned by running a leather chemical business. Let's get started. So when usually leather technology students attend any interview in the leather and allied companies, the first questions we are asked is always about why leather, why you chose leather. So now I want to ask you the same thing, right? So why leather and why did you choose this domain?
I guess I can say maybe leather chose me because my father used to be a leather technologist, and in his case also, I think he wanted to do chemical was his first choice, and textile is second choice. I think based on what he got, he joined in Anna University doing leather, and of course he had a good innings in the leather space, both in tanneries and with chemical companies. And so I guess he wanted at least one of his children to also enjoy the same. So that is why I'm here. So that is why I think my father always wanted me to be a leather technologist, to be associated with leather manufacturing, and it was always in my mind because I have never thought of doing anything else. I've never really thought of ever doing anything else apart from being a leather technologist. So at least I can be, when I see my daughter nowadays, I see that she's so confused, she wants this or that, and with many children. But in my case, luckily, I think my father had explained or supported me or took me to so many places related to leather that I never really thought of anything else. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So you are also interested in this domain?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Great,
Yes.
sir. So you have lived and studied and worked across Europe and Asia, right? So how did this global exposure shape your understanding of the leather industry?
See, global exposure is it brings about improves our understanding in any space. One of the key things is that we listen more because when we are in a foreign environment, we are outside our comfort zone. So we tend to observe more. I noticed it very early when I came back to India that I noticed so many things which was always there, which I had never noticed for 18, 20 years of my life. And I was beginning to notice those things more that was in the street I was living in and things like that. So I think one of the main thing is that you observe more and you listen more because you give more. You want to understand different cultures. You don't want to be the odd one out, though you are the odd one out apart from the obvious, you know. So I think that kind of helps in the overall personal growth as a person. Yeah,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
I think that's probably one of the biggest learning, at least for
Okay.
me. Yeah, yeah.
And that learning helped you to shape your career in any way, sir, in the industry?
Okay, I started working in the UK, you know, following my studies there, and then worked for companies like the Scottish Group and Pittards. It became easier for me to get a job with a company like BASF, and the fact that I was working in the UK, I think that's the reason more than anything else. I got the opportunity to work for BSF in East Asia. So I lived based out of Shanghai. So I think definitely that gives you an added advantage. And when you go to customers in the rest of the world, and when you've already worked for companies which are in the business of producing leather for more than 100 years, I think people want to understand how how these companies operate or and your experiences and your experience as also as a foreigner living abroad. So I think yes, definitely it helps.
Yeah, sir. So, in I believe in 1997 that you have completed your
Yeah,
honors, correct, sir?
yeah, I finished,
So,
yes.
is the scenario same for now also that the foreign experience for a candidate will help them to get better opportunities than?
I think any different experience is always important. Uh, I think today we have a lot more exposure with the internet. I think in those days you just watched a movie or something, and then you kind of say, "Oh, this is how streets are there in the UK or whatever." Um, but nowadays, okay, the internet is there. You get maybe a sense whereby you know things more than before. But in reality, when you actually go there, when you actually see the thing, it's like seeing the Taj Mahal. You know, I've seen the Taj Mahal all my life, but when I actually went there and saw, I was, I was overwhelmed by that experience of seeing the Taj Mahal. So the sheer size of it, the whole perspective of it in that particular position. So similarly, I think anywhere. Like we could be being in Chennai and working in Kolkata for a few years will also is no India being such a big country with so many different languages. Even those things also help. Yeah, definitely. Any experience outside your comfort zone will always help. Yeah.
Great, sir. Great. And where do you see the global leather business heading in the coming years?
Um. Okay. The leather business as such is going through very uncertain times. I think probably uh, the most uncertain that at least I have ever seen. And when I talk to the seniors in the industry or even my father, and I see that we are going through uncertain times. So I think it's a time where people have to really look at our normal behavior and our approach to the leather business that we have taken for so many years, and we really need to embrace change and try to move forward. We can't do this, keep doing the same things what we have done in the past few decades and expect different results. And I think that is certainly something with the uncertainty that we have on the leather industry. I think it is something that has to be addressed by everybody. Yeah.
So, why we are in this position and what that we have to do something different to avoid the uncertain times?
Um, Uh, See, if you actually a colleague from my earlier one of my earlier jobs mentioned to me, and he said to me that if someone said that we found a process today to convert rawhide, a waste product, into leather, which can be used to make bags, shoes, upholstery. Uh, Probably that would get a Nobel Prize, because the to come up with something from waste, which was going to be a burden on the planet, and to make it into useful product, yeah, uh, would be seen as one of a huge innovation, yeah. But but this is not the case in reality at the moment. What we face with leather, and it's uh, not just about vegan materials and other things, but it also about a lot of in the name of greenwashing, leather is used as from a negative light. And I think this is something that has to change. Mm, and I think we also have to take inspiration from other industries. I see the wool mark, the wool mark trademark. They have. I think it's an association of farmers from New Zealand or Australia. I don't know from which particular country, but they have marketed themselves and wool as biodegradable, natural. Very much, wool is like very similar to. It's a byproduct. It's a byproduct, just like leather is being a byproduct, and it's biodegradable. It's a natural thing, and they have really done very good campaigns. Yeah. I still distinctly remember there is a campaign which talks about uh, every 25 minutes you fill a Olympic size swimming pool of oil, which just because of the synthetic clothes that we wear. So every 25 minutes, a Olympic size swimming pool of oil is consumed. So it's really talking about carbon footprint in a way which a guy on the street can understand. Uh, there is also an ad, I think, with the where every single synthetic clothing, like a zombie movie, were to come alive and start chasing, just to say that once it is synthetic, it never leaves the planet. There is always a footprint remains throughout, whereas that is not the case with wool. And I think the same thing is also applicable for leather. And I think that campaign had something like 90 million views. Yeah. So the common man now, including you and me, understand this about wool. Even if we were not in leather, if you think about it, if I knew nothing about leather, just by looking at these, understanding, we have a better understanding of how wool comes, and it's biodegradable, it's natural, it's basically waste management. But somehow along the way, I think this is something the leather industry as a whole have not really capitalized on, and which is also one of the reasons we find ourselves in the current space that we are in, whereby leather is not necessarily the first choice uh, uh, for consumers. And unfortunately, some people really look at it as a wrong choice, which is not true. And certainly, they are not being well informed.
Yes, sir. It is almost fascinating that, like, any number of leaders I talk to in the leather industry, everybody mentions the same thing, that we lack marketing. We lack to market ourselves, the goodness of ourselves, right? But every time what I thought was, who should do it? Like, because as a single organization, there are multiple single organizations. Very big organizations is also there. Very small enterprises are also there. But everybody knows what's the problem. But who should do it? Is it some sort of an association, or it needs to be something formed new, or do we have any association which is already there that can take it up and have the fundings to have campaigns like this? Because to run a campaign to get about 90 million views, someone has to spend. So where all the money has to come from?
Um, I believe it's about first of all having the willingness to do it. I think the resources can be easily allocated, but this is a global problem. This is not just an Indian problem. Um, I think I hear about a lot of traceability issues. Brazil with relation to deforestation. In India, I think we have already had. I can't even remember how many years ago the Gap story with the cows in India. There was always with PETA, and this is happening all over is happening all over the world. So who should be really doing it? I think everybody who is associated with the leather value chain should do it, but somebody has to take the lead. Huh? And uh, I would imagine the person who is selling the leather or the person who is manufacturing the leather. We have seen ads for eggs, for milk, on TV. We are seeing ads for wool, by the wool market, the wool association. So similarly, the people who are tanning the leather, yeah, and people who are selling the leather, they have to. Of course, the meat plant can help, because it's a byproduct for the meat industry. Of course, the suppliers can also, step forward and support it. And I see, at least as a supplier to the leather industry, I see a lot of suppliers contributing towards it in their own way, in their own way. But I think also the tanners will have to. They should take the lead,
Okay, sir. Since
and
you
they should also actively participate
Mhm.
in that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Since you mentioned the tanners,
Yeah.
so what can the Indian tanners do right now to accelerate their shift towards cleaner, safer, and more compliant protection?
I think for me, when you put it like this, I would say safety first. I think safety is one of the most important things, and we are in a production environment. We produce. We deal with big equipment, big machines, so training is involved. Um, I came to India in December 2008, and I think, unfortunately, uh, almost every year I have heard of some death in a tannery, in some part of the tannery areas. Yeah. And mostly it is linked to normally cleaning a tank, hydrogen sulfide poisoning. Yeah. Of course, we have come a long way, in the sense that today there are a lot of tanneries having leather working group gold medals. So definitely working conditions have improved a lot. Yeah. But in this day and age, where I can say, like, along our main application center is in Ranipet. We are linked to the Rani Tech, which is zero liquid discharge setup. Um, so I think from end of pipe treatment, I think India is second to none. Yeah. Um, Maybe there are some issues. People talk about the global warming potential of having in something trying to evaporating and getting out salt. So there are maybe other questions on this side, but definitely when it comes to technology and treating end of pipe, um, we are second to none. But when it comes to the actual, then how do we have all these gases? The common reason for death in tanneries that I have at least seen is gases, because acid liquors and alkali liquors are mixing, and the death is the worst thing that we hear. The other things which people in the environment suffer from is the smells, because by default, when you mix these liquor streams with two extreme pHs, these gases are causing smell. And of course, your neighbors are not very happy about it. So today, if you live in a house, we want to have, if there is going to be 4 apartments, there has to be stilt parking. Why? Because we don't want to be a nuisance to our neighbor. Yeah. So if you build an apartment, if it's a 3-bedroom apartment, normally it has three toilets also. Yeah. So if you have a tannery, there has to be good treatment, but the treatment has to start from the tannery. Yeah. And training of the people should also start there. So for me, I think safety first is the most important thing. And this is probably one area that I would really like to see a significant improvement, because that will also improve the positive image of leather, that I live in a tannery area, but the air is clean, and I don't have bad smell, and I don't hear, even though very, once in a while, that someone has passed away working in a tannery, and I don't want to be the person calling up someone's wife or son or daughter or father to explain that their child is no more working in tannery. So that is probably one of the biggest thing that that at least that has affected me a lot personally. Yeah.
So tanners has to look inside their tanneries.
Yes, I think it's to do with everything. Like I think as an employer, you also think about when your person is, let's say, driving to work or taking transportation coming to work, whether it is safe, huh? Whether it is safe for everybody working in our place. Huh? So these type of things we always do anyway. You know, in the same spirit, if you're working in a tannery, and yeah, we may be connected to one of the best common effluent treatment plants in the world, but at the end of the day, safety of the people is also very, very important. Yeah. And that's important for everyone. You don't have to be a leather working group medal winner to be certified as safe. I think that applies for everyone. And that's the law of our land anyway.
Mhm.
I think we just have to follow the law. Yeah.
What are the biggest challenges, right, that the chemical suppliers face when working with the Indian tanneries
Okay.
when compared to working with the foreign tanneries?
As a chemical supplier, I think it's sometimes, priorities are different, So it's like if you, um, uh, I think currently the most recent topic it's about. I think in the past it used to be about formaldehyde. It used to be about chrome free, chrome 6 as an issue. Nowadays it's about bisphenol. I think there is a lot of talk about traceability. There is talk about life cycle assessment. Maybe carbon footprint will be something that of the future, bio-based content of products. So I think the challenges are different, but they are all driven by purely on a technical nature, and it's about kind of um, the understanding, to bring up to the understanding with the customers, because there will be a certain specification that needs to be met, and it's about understanding about why this specification, what is the impact of this specification, and why this is important to make the change. Yeah. Because change is something that is very slow in the leather industry. Yeah. So the understanding of why the change is really, really important. I think that's probably one of the biggest challenge uh, that as chemical suppliers, I guess we find in India. I wouldn't say that it is less or more, but that is something, a topic that we kind of face on a day-to-day basis. Yeah.
Okay, so to make the Indian tanners adapt for the more compliant product or a compliant process.
I think they do compliant things, but it's
Mhm.
about being ready for the next generation. What will the customer ask? What is the latest update to the, I don't know, California legislation? uh, what does the garment industry want? Because garment industry will do something for the whole garment industry, and leather is just one aspect of it. So just because they're trying to do that, it by default, the leather industry also have to do it. And I think normally as leather chemical suppliers, all of them, we are all pretty much uh, trying to be ahead of the game. So if something is going to happen in 2030, I think we will normally hear about it at least by 2022, 2023. And we will be mostly ready at least 3 to 4 years ahead of 2030.
Okay.
And then the whole topic of making the switch, implementing it in production, all this thing happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
So chemical suppliers are the one who are actually adapting to the change much before the change happens.
And it's also our responsibility, because we
Okay.
are the one supplying the chemicals, and
Mhm.
chemicals are the ones which is normally under the radar, with relation to when it comes to the, hazardous chemicals or discharge of chemicals, certifications related to chemicals, transportation of chemical,
Mhm.
the labeling of the final product when you use the chemical.
Mhm.
So I think it's a realistic and a nominal thing, which is why I think all the chemical suppliers are normally doing this. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
At least certainly the big ones. The big ones are probably doing it a few years
Okay.
ahead of the others. But I think almost most of the suppliers are normally ready for these type of things. Yeah,
Okay. So during these uncertain times,
yeah.
does it really make sense for someone to start a new leather chemical business in India?
Well, I can tell you what is happening, at least in the last couple of decades, because I have been part of myself involved in consolidation. Huh?
Mhm.
Of leather chemicals. I think uh, like today, all the big companies. Okay, I'm working for Smith and Zoon, which is a family-owned company. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. In the last 5-6 years, we also bought a chemical company in Italy. Huh? So we were also part of the consolidation. And similarly, these type of things are always happening. Uh, so is it a good time to start a new chemical company business? I think in the current business model, the world is going through some level of consolidation to bring about more efficiencies, to reduce costs, to add more value to the customers. So this is happening now. Uh, Saying that, you cannot say that you don't need one more chemical company, or there is no need for one, because we can always work with the innovative business models. So I think we also should learn from other industries and see how other industries have embraced the technology, how other industries have gone about consolidation. So I will not say that you should not get into a chemical space or whatever. But at the moment, if you look at it, the number of chemical companies are actually going down. Yeah, so that's what is actually happening at the
Okay.
moment.
Why this consolidation is happening, sir? Because for the last, I believe, 5, 6 years, a lot of companies are acquiring a lot of companies, especially in chemical space, leather chemical space, more than in tannery space. Many chemical manufacturers are acquiring many other big brands. And why is it happening? Why they are also selling, and why someone is buying? What is happening?
See, I think in general there is a lesser demand for leather globally. And if you look at it, the growth in the leather space is not is not controlled by anybody in the industry, because you can only grow the business if more people eat meat, because you cannot get leather if people eating behavior changes. Yeah. And this is, we are talking with the whole world here. Yeah. Maybe some country is embracing maybe eating less meat, but at the same time, the developing countries normally eat like I remember, when we were growing up, I think we had meat once a week. Huh? I think today we don't really think about it like that. I think maybe we have now meat maybe 3 or 4 times a week, and then also you're eating choices. Just because I'm working in the leather industry does not mean that I'm not going to have fish or chicken, because so eating behavior is not controlled, and so the leather behavior, the leather output is not controlled by any of the tanners or anybody. So it's purely a byproduct. And in general, studies show that the cattle population uh, will grow at a rate of 1 to 1.5% year on year for the next 50 years. And of course, there are also other factors like major droughts and things like this. Maybe once every 3 or 4 years, you will also have a drop in the thing, and then replenishing the cattle takes a few years. Huh? So it's not really an industry that grows year on year 10%, 20%, or something like that. So if you have, from a macro point of view, for any chemical company, they'll say, okay, we are in an industry which organically grows at best at maybe 1 or 1.5%. Yeah. Now, actually, it doesn't grow that much. Why? Because you are not processing all the skin to leather, because there is food industry taking gelatin, collagen industries there. um, so it's not that everything that is coming out is coming to leather. Yeah. Then on top of it, um, we are using far less. The technology has improved so much, we are using far less chemicals. Like when I finished university, we were using 8% to tan. 8% was a standard thing to tan. 8% basic chromium sulfate was the standard. Today, the standard is 5.5%. But we still have enough chrome in the leather. So technology has improved. The coating mechanisms have improved. Before, we were only spraying, so we had a lot of waste. So 100% was getting, if you spray 100%, half of it is gone. So 2 grams on leather, 2 grams on the air. Today we roller coat it, so we don't really have any way. So generally the demand for chemicals is actually going down because of improvement in technology and competition from other industries like cosmetics and food. So I think the leather chemical companies also are trying to adjust their capacities to in line with what is actually really happening today. So I think that's one of the main things. Yeah.
Okay, so the volume is getting down.
Yeah, the
So that's
volume,
the
the
overall
volume
volume.
of chemicals needed to process leather is going down because process efficiencies have improved. There are other industries like food which is taking some of these some part of the leather. Maybe one part of the leather, only the grain or the split is used by the tannery, and something else is going for gelatin or something else.
Okay, is it because that food industry want that material to do gelatin, or leather industry actually need only that much material? Because whether this demand decrease happen in the source level or at the consumer level, why this volume decrease in leather industry happening, or it's being driven by both the sides? Since you also mentioned the eating habits of the people also changing, but the cattle population is growing.
Yeah, it's growing at a very small amount, but the amount of leather available to the tanner is very less. And I think today there are even people who are not even processing the leather because the cost of transporting. I was talking to a customer last week and he was telling me that the cost of a hide in Brazil today is about $4. In Argentina, it's about $6. And in India, buffalo is about $10. But the cost of transporting something, apart from the fact that it takes nearly 2.5 months to bring it to India, will actually put it just above $10. So they're not even having demand for this. Yeah. And why that is happening is more to do also with the whole economics of things. I think in about 2013-14, the price of rawhide was at its highest. The demand was at its peak. And then, of course, whenever demand is at its peak, the consumers or the brands, in our case, is a brand. Car companies decide whether to put a leather seat or a non-leather seat. Same with the bags or shoes or. So when the price of thing goes up so high, they also look for alternate materials. So brands also look for alternate materials to remain cost competitive and also to give a choice and variety to the customers. Technologies in other industries change. There's a lot of talk about non-leather in cars because the production process has changed. Maybe before they were assembling 50 parts together. Huh? Now they are maybe they are molding all the 50 parts into one part and making it. So now when you have a production process like this, maybe stitching a leather seat by a man manually by hand is maybe taking more time than having a molded non-leather seat. So why the demand for leather is going down is really multiple reasons. Huh? And all this happens at different timelines, but finally at the end of the day we are here today because of all these multiple reasons, and I think that is why there is a lack of there's an overall drop in demand for leather.
Okay, okay. In that case, what are the other industry where the chemical businesses are actually currently focusing on? Because chemical business is not only on leather. The same brand is also in textile. The same brand is also in some other places, in paintings, in special chemicals, in special coatings sector. So, according to the chemical companies, which sector looks very lucrative and high growth potential?
See, if you take about leather chemicals is a space where the chemical companies are more like formulators. There are very few molecules we are developing exclusively for leather. So we are dependent on, like, my first chemical company that I worked with was BASF. BASF is the largest chemical company in the world. Yeah, it was then the largest, and also today is the largest. Yeah, they're not part of the leather chemical business anymore, but of course they are still supplying to the leather chemical business because they're just supplying the base material, and someone else is taking it and formulating it and putting their name on it and supplying. So first of all, a leather chemical supplier is predominantly majority of the time doing intelligent formulations. They are not starting from the base molecule and doing it. So we are also like leather chemical business is also so if you take about it, I think there is hardly any chemistry which you can say this is predominantly used by the leather for the leather industry. If you take oils, petrochemicals, we are normally dependent byproducts of textile industry, plastic industry, even biodiesel. Nowadays, a lot of natural products are used for you know sustainable aviation fuel or biodiesel for cars. So these type of thing is going on. So some companies tend to focus. They say, okay, we can also use the same chemical for textile or for coatings, but normally this is done by different experts. Like because I'm responsible for the leather business. Why? Because basically I am coming from a leather background. Huh? And companies which so when I was in BASF, they had different divisions. So textile part is normally done by all the textile guys. Huh? And we are normally not even we don't even really know. We know that there are some common products. Yeah, we're not really trying to or maybe if you want something to disperse something thing better or solubilize something better to get a level dyeing, maybe we'll talk to the textile guy. If you have some problem on the coating with the flow of the chemical, we will talk to the coatings guy. So it's been always like that. So leather chemical, nobody is making chemicals only for leather. We are also formulating stuff.
Okay, so
Yeah.
which industry is more lucrative, sir, than leather to do new business?
I think it's also about cycles. I
Mhm.
think, for example, I remember the dye stuffs used to be a very lucrative thing in the early 2000s because they had patents for it. And once the patents ran, it also became like a commodity, and other people were also able to, able to make it. It's almost like with generic drug situation. But I think there is also something good about it because at the end of the day, the cost of the product of making the product goes down. It becomes more accessible. People are able to get better quality products uh, at a more reasonable price, which means leather as an end product also becomes more attractive to the consumer. So there are phases to it. Sometimes I'm sure there was a phase leather chemicals was a very lucrative one. Now it doesn't look at the moment as such. But I guess if you go and talk to the textile guy, I don't know whether they are having a great time or not. Huh? It's about product life cycle. We are in that kind of realm whereby technology is advanced, consumption is very efficient, wastage is very low. Huh? These are good things for the planet. But of course, we also need to be more agile as a supplier and be innovative and be ready for what the future is going to be there.
Yes, sir. If someone wants to enter this market,
Yeah.
what should be the practical choice? Whether they should start their own leather manufacturing or they should start from distributing, then think about manufacturing. Which part of this business that they have to first try to do, especially in this scenario?
See, as an individual, it's also about individual interest. Yeah, if you're someone who is very much passionate about chemistry and that is your core strength, I think it makes more sense to work for a chemical company. Like if I take in our own company, we have leather technologists who are working in production, who are working in R&D. They're working in application in the lab, and there is also working in sales. Yeah, I think it comes from it normally comes from personal interest because manufacturing chemicals, formulating chemicals is one thing. Distributing is something, because when you're distributing products, your supply reliability, you're basically doing it because what is the value addition that you do for the customer? Basically, it's about supply reliability. You order something, you say, I can deliver within 24 hours or I can deliver within 3 hours. Now, if a customer wants it within 3 hours, That is a value addition that you give, and then you become a successful supply chain partner for him. So, um, so I think when you look at it, it's also depending, because these are two completely different areas. I see manufacturing chemicals and distributing chemicals are completely two different areas, and you need different skills to be successful in these two. And that purely, I think it's important for people to understand what are the skills that is required and make a personal choice, which is my area of strength. Yeah. Uh, if someone is living in a leather cluster and is also having very good communication skills, very good organizing skills, maybe being a distributor is already a very good choice. But if you're a very good chemist, doesn't matter where you live, if you're willing to be mobile, huh, working in a leather chemical company is also a very good choice, and for you to develop and grow. Yeah.
Okay. So in major chemical brands that I see in the industry are majorly from European continent. Why is it there? Why we don't see many chemical manufacturers come from India? I know there are a lot of factors because 200 years of story, but if you want to see it in a brief or say it in a way that the students who are watching can understand,
Okay.
why the legacy brands are always from Europe, all the chemical manufacturing.
See, if you go back in history, leather was basically processed or tanned using vegetable tanning material, so natural material in each of the areas. Yeah. So, but the chemical companies are predominantly from Europe. And why? This happened because of the war. Because of the world wars, people were not able to move. Uh, you're sitting in cold Western countries, and then because of the war, you're not able to bring the vegetable tanning from Africa or South America or Asia. So then you needed to have a synthetic tanning material. So which is why chemical companies predominantly started in the Western Hemisphere. So that is really why uh, the big chemical companies are there. Because during the war they needed to tan and process leather because they needed it for the shoes and everything. And then, to my knowledge, Germany was the country which really started getting into chemical, and I think it was a big chemical company, and then it was split after the war into 4 or 5 different companies, and from that only the leather chemical was one division of that, and it started. So that is the reason why, because of history and because of the world war, you have synthetic tanning materials, and of course later uh, the demand for high performance leathers, better light fast properties, lightweight leathers, flame resistant leathers. So all these type of things added, and the value of synthetic tanning materials came into space. And because they were already doing these molecules over the years, I think they had this kind of a first mover advantage. But today, I think in India, in China, I think in most parts of the world, you find also people formulating chemicals, producing chemicals, and supplying, and supplying to tanneries. Yeah, yeah.
Great, sir. So if we look at leather, the chemical manufacturing and also chemical distribution, if someone has to start, what should be the initial investment that someone should be planning for? If they are planning for chemical manufacturing or for the distribution, or just to get the understanding, what would be the typical investment that they should be looking for to start the divisions?
Either a leather chemical business or a distributorship.
Yes, either leather chemical manufacturing
Yeah.
or leather chemical distribution. Of course, the distribution will be lower, but how much would be that scale of difference?
See, if you think it's about starting, if you're starting about your own business, okay. If you take a distribution business, uh, it's pretty straightforward. If you want to, it depends on the number of customers that you want to cater to, yeah, and what level of expectation the customer has. with relation to stock that you need to maintain. Am I going to keep 15 days stock, or am I going to keep 30 days stock? Are they going to give me a forecast? And which area I'm going to cater to? Am I going to take care of 5 customers, or am I going to take care of 50 customers? Am I going to do pan India, or am I just going to do let's say only in Chennai area? So I think these are the criteria. And of course, if you want to really talk about investment, it's about really cash flow. If you're buying it from a chemical manufacturer, what is normally the terms and conditions of the deal? And normally, when you're starting something new, everybody wants you to pay and take the material. Yeah. And then also, when you're trying to go to a customer, they have certain normal existing practices, and they will want to say, oh, this is what we're doing. We can buy from you if we believe you're a reliable supplier, and if you're giving us very good quality products, then we can. But then you have to meet the criteria of the customer. So I think that's the gap between which brand you choose, the acceptability of the brand to the customer, and your customer intimacy that you have with the customer, and how you can leverage that to convince a chemical manufacturer to supply the product to you.
Okay, sir. What would be the typical range, sir, we'll be looking at to start off? Just a number.
Rate of
to start the business. So let's say I want to start a chemical distribution business and I approach Smith & Zoon, let's say for that matter. So I want to start only in Chennai division. Let's say I want to start small. So if as a person with money who can do the distribution business and have an experience or something, if I coming to Smith & Zoon, what is the figure that I should have in my mind before coming to you?
See, for sure, this is really depending on who is going to be your customer. Because if you take Chennai, there are companies which have more than one distributor. There are maybe 3, 4, 5 distributors for one company in Chennai, and each one is taking care of 4 or 5 customers. You could have supplier. You could have a tannery which is buying a few crores a month. Yeah, like if you take us in our case, our top 5 customers buy minimum 15 to 20 crores a year. So if we are going to, if you put that in perspective, yeah, our top 5 customers are buying in this context. Yeah. So at least that is the amount, and depending, if let's say that they pay you in 90 days, for example, so then you can make the math. And if the chemical supplier is also offering you 90 days, it's okay. Yeah, you can manage it. But normally this is not how it works. There is always a gap, and there is always, you need to keep stock closer to the customer. So maybe there is another month there. So again, as I said, it depends on how big and why and how can you be a distributor, because you cannot be a distributor for one customer.
Mm-hmm. So
nobody, because they will always ask, like, okay, if you come to me, I'll ask, okay, you would like to be a chemical distributor, and you start right because you have at least a qualification in leather. So then normally the next question will be, why did you choose leather? Because maybe there is some kind of something motivated you to become one, and that gives us an understanding that, okay, maybe he can take care of these 5 customers, and if there is a gap for us, so we would, every supplier likes to fill the gap. Yeah. And as a distributor, of course, we are looking at risk management. We are looking at ensuring a regular supply to our customer, because at the end of the day, the customer is still that of the chemical company. Yeah? We see a distributor as a channel partner. So of course, if a customer is someone who wants to buy, I don't know, 2 crores a month, yeah, is that a customer that you can supply? So that's where the whole financials come into it.
So it's not about the investment, but it's all about the cash flow.
It's really about the cash flow.
So if you are going to supply, let's say, 10 crore worth of chemicals to a tanner, a distributor must take that into account, and according to the terms with the chemical supplier, they should have the enough cash flow.
Yes.
Generally, will it be like, for if I want to supply, let's say, 10 crores of worth of chemicals to a tanner, should I have to pay 2 crores upfront or 5 crores? Or if I have a credit period, will it be 100%? Or typically how it will be, sir? Just a typical general number.
There are distributors who pay a deposit normally, or they pay advance and take the material. So it's like, okay, if you're going to pay advance, you don't need a deposit, you know. But these are some things that is happening. That is happening in the thing. But also it depends on what the customer is willing to pay, and it's about what service you're going to offer to the customer. Now, if you say, I'm an expert in making leather, yeah, and I'm going to come and I'm going to work with you and I'm going to spend a lot of time with you, or I'm going to put somebody here with you and we will work together and we will improve and add value to your whole production by reducing waste, reducing the cost per square feet. Then maybe the customer will also look at you at a different, at a different light. That okay, if I work with them over a period of time, I will have a certain. So it's like a joint collaboration. So if you manage to do something like that, rather than purely a transactional, the customers also behave differently, or they may pay you differently. Yeah, because they don't see you just as someone who is supplying you cans and bags of chemical, but someone who's actually adding value because you are a leather technologist. And when you go and meet someone as a leather technologist, I think that's what the customer expects. As a leather technologist, what you're going to do, not as a distributor of Smith and Son. Okay, that's nice that you're also a distributor of a reputed company, but as a leather technologist, what are you going to do?
Okay, so
Yeah.
in that case, how important is technical service compared to product quality when winning or retaining a customer? Whether it's all about the technical service or all about the product quality.
See,
Which one
it's
is?
like two sides of the coin. I think a quality is a given. I think it's your license to operate. If you don't have the right quality, you know, you cannot operate. If I'm in a car, the car should be fit to be on the road, and it should be approved to be fit to be on the road. If it is not to be fit on the road, then I can't drive a car. I need to have a license for sure. So quality is a precondition, and it's the norm. It's not like all the reputed chemical suppliers. They put enough emphasis on quality. I think it's a very, very important aspect, and we do not want to see someone buy a product and suffer. Yeah. So there is a lot of quality part is there. So I think today in this day and age, I don't think a tannery really thinks quality as a problem. They have enough suppliers who can guarantee quality. Yeah. So then the service part can be a differentiator. Yeah. The service part, maybe everybody claims that we give service. Yeah. And somebody are very good at, let's say, supply reliability as a service. That's also a very important subject. But when you talk about technical service, I think there will be always demand for technical service and for good technical service because we are dealing with a natural material. Huh? You don't decide when you get the hide. Huh? The life cycle of an animal is not decided by a leather technologist. Is not decided by a tannery. Yeah, it's completely decided by a different industry. So no two animal are the same. Yeah, no two skins are the same. Yeah. Now all we are trying to do is minimize these differences. So technical service, experience, this thing there will be always value for that. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest differentiator. Yeah.
Okay. So the quality has become a norm now. So it's
Yeah.
all about the service is the differentiator. So talking about quality, as a leather technologist, if I'm coming into the industry as a fresher, let's say, when I look at a product in a same category, let's take maybe a acrylic retanning agent. There are multiple names in the industry. As a leather technology, no matter who the terms or the manuals I read, everybody talks good about their products. Everybody says it gives you really good fullness. It'll give you fluffiness. You can only use one person. Everybody is saying the same. So, how a leather technologist can identify or can find the right quality product?
I think this is where the education plays a big role.
Mm.
You know, um, something that I challenge my team members a lot is that leather technology is a science. It's not
Mhm.
art. You know, we did. We became leather technologists because we managed to do good in maths, physics, chemistry. Yeah,
Mhm.
that is why we went and did leather technology. Whether you
Mhm.
did diploma or whether you did a degree or a master's or a PhD, it's all related to science. Yeah.
Mhm.
So as a leather technologist, we have to make this material, which is completely different from one piece to another. How do I measure it in an objective way? And
Mhm.
this, whatever we talk about, fullness, softness, uh, sponginess,
Mhm.
you can translate into thickness. Softness can be measured. uh,
Mhm.
the weight of the leather can be measured. uh, the gloss level of the leather can be measured. The color of the leather can be measured. uh, there is very few things which you cannot measure today. Yeah.
Mhm.
And combined let's say three or four different testing points can be a key indicator to tell you whether a leather will be spongy or not. For example, yeah, there's no test for sponginess. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
But if you were to measure thickness, apparent density, softness, huh, and at this range, you
Mhm.
may find that leather tends to be more spongy, and also
Mhm.
the type of raw material that you use. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think as leather technologists, I think uh, we should never underestimate the education that we had,
Mhm.
and then we should build on that. I think that is something that I always encourage the leather technologies that are working with with myself and in my team,
Mhm.
that make it subjective. As a leather technologist, challenge yourself and try to make it reproducible and repeatable, huh?
Mhm.
Because it's not an art; it's a science. Yeah,
Great. So it's just like, test driving a car. We can't decide a car just with a spec sheet.
yeah,
Every car is different.
yeah,
So do your own test drive and find it out. So
yeah,
that's the best way to find the right chemical.
yeah, yeah,
Great,
yeah.
sir. Great. So let's say a chemical company wants to launch a new product.
Yeah.
And what are the things that they usually see and how they actually position the product rightfully in the market?
Well, we all try to position it in the correct way, whether we do it or not, we do some, and sometimes we don't, and we learn from it, and then we position it better in the next launch, or we reposition it sometime after 10, 15 years. So
Mhm.
all these things goes on. But normally it's about first identifying a gap. Yeah. Identifying a gap and seeing where we are. It's all science. It's really science. We measure the gap, and then we look at the competition. We benchmark the competition. We screen against the competition. Then we look at the different areas. Like, there will be certain areas which deals with small skins. There will be
Mhm.
certain areas which is only doing automotive leather. So then we benchmark. So there is a certain level of work is done by the chemists. When it comes to developing and the specifications and the getting the approvals done. And then after that, the application side is done by the leather technologists. Yeah. And normally it's done all over the world, huh? Because of the different end use of the product. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we come at a positioning point. Okay. And we have to position it first against our existing products.
Mhm.
This is also very important.
Mhm.
You, we also look at it and say, okay, oh, I'm launching this new product. Am I going to cannibalize one of my existing product? Huh? Using the same thing as acrylics, I think most chemical companies have 5 or 6 acrylic synthets. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then if I'm going to launch one more new one, why? Huh?
Mhm.
Yeah. Am I going to just replace one of my older products? Do I even want to replace one of my older products? So all these things do I need a product for it? Or can the solution can be determined in the way how we process leather? You
Mhm.
can make leather soft
Mhm.
using polymers, using fat ligatures, using syntans. Huh? So it's not that only there is one answer for something, So so there is a lot of work that goes on, and that is why we have these application labs. We have competence centers. We work very closely with the other type of competence, like we work with chemists
Mhm.
um, to understand the chemistry of the chemical and how the application should be. Huh? I think in a leather chemical company, I think that is something that is very interesting, huh?
Mhm.
Because the access that you have to the wide variety of competences, yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
and also there is normally also marketing department, who also challenges and who ask us about unique selling points and how to position it, who is your customer,
Mhm.
huh? And I think it's what is very important is to never forget who our customer is and
Mhm.
what they want. And if you're customer centric, I think everything automatically falls into place. Yeah.
Okay. Typically, how long it will take to decide whether a product is a success or a failure?
Um, After launch,
Mhm.
depending on the type of product, if you go with something completely new, like I think we launched in the last 5 years a zeology tanning agent.
Mhm.
Yeah. Uh, a zeology tanning agent is a completely new space. It's about there is only few types of tanning which is widely used. And then now you have a new tanning agent now, um, and this can take some time, yeah, uh, to do. Whereas now we are also working on bisphenol, low bisphenol or bisphenol free products. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now maybe something like a new tannage. I think it took us 5 years to uh, maybe 3 or 4 years to cross 1,000 tons of sales per annum.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But if you talk about bisphenol free chemicals, we probably will do maybe 5,000 tons
Mhm.
in a couple of years, huh?
Mhm.
Because that's about kind of. But then again, you're basically cannibalizing some of your earlier products. So it's a
Mhm.
new product range, but you're also removing some of your older product range. So it's really a new version of an existing product. But whereas when you come with a new tanning agent, it takes much longer.
Mhm.
Uh, uh, and that's to do with the type of the nature of the leather industry. The leather
Okay.
industry is a very traditional industry, and
Mhm.
the people take their time to make changes, particularly in process. Yeah. uh, because you have to do several samples and you have to take it to bulk. And if you take something like automotive industry or something like that, there is also a program.
Mhm.
Sometimes it can take an year to
Mhm.
get a product approved
Mhm.
after is ready.
Okay.
So there are also some regulation driven constraint, registration related issues are there.
Mhm.
Certain countries you have to register the product.
Mhm.
So so these type of things can also decide on how long it takes for a product
Maybe
to be.
typically a 3 years, sir. 3 years to
I
5 years,
think
maybe.
3 years is a good span,
Good
because
span.
normally when we launch a product,
Mhm.
we always try to budget and say, okay, how much will I sell 1 year, one
Mhm.
year after launch,
Mhm.
2 years after launch, 3 years after launch, and we also measure uh, 3 years products that we sell today, which were launched 3 years ago, products which we sell today, which we were launched 5 years ago, is
Mhm.
also a very good measure, huh?
Mhm.
A
Mhm.
very good
Mhm.
measure of innovation. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. Great, sir. So, talking about the credits, right? The credits given to tanneries.
yeah, yeah,
I've heard like I think it's 10 years before.
yeah,
There
yeah.
are a lot of chemical distributors who gave more than a year as a credit period.
Possible. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
And there are also a lot of defaults.
okay.
But current scenario, I'm also hearing like a lot of chemical distributors want the tanners to pay upfront and buy the chemicals.
Yeah.
Why the shift from giving enormous credits to give cash and get the chemical
Okay.
happened? Like what happened in between?
Well, you answered it actually, because there was a lot of defaults. If
Okay.
someone is giving an year credit,
Mhm.
you know, um, and you have to ask the reason why someone needs an year credit. Yeah. I think if I want an year credit, I will go to the bank. Like I'm, if I want to buy a house, I go to the bank to get a loan. Yeah. So if that is the kind of credit someone wants, I don't think it makes good sense to go to a chemical supplier to and pay them so late, because I don't think you will get good value. You shouldn't get good value. Yeah? You don't deserve to get good value, because if you're using a supplier as someone to get credit, because that would be the wrong business model altogether. Yeah. And of course, if someone was doing that and then they end up defaulting on it, yeah. So no wonder the suppliers will also say, okay, it's about risk management. It's at the end of the day, it's about risk management. You could be a supplier for 30 years in the industry. You could be a supplier for only 3 months in the industry. Both persons have to do risk management. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think probably that has come to the point whereby the people say that oh, you have to pay in advance, I think. But this is also to do with it's also to do with the wider economy in general. Yeah. If you can ensure your supplies, I think in Western countries, the insurance space is far more mature. Yeah. In India, I think there is some protection from the government for export. If you export, you get some protection. Yeah. But you can also take insurances on some of your supplies. But insurance cannot be an excuse for irresponsible lending. Insurance only as a protection when things go wrong, rarely. But for proper due diligence, having credit limits, having an insurance, that is for any business. It's not just for the leather chemical business. I think that's for any business. But you cannot. I would definitely not encourage anyone to get into a business saying that, you know what, I'm able to give 6 months credit or 1 year credit. That should not be the value addition that you're offering, because
So that should not be the differentiator.
should not be the differentiator. Yeah. If you're a bank, okay, that you are in that space, as a financial institution, yeah, that is quite reasonable that I can go and get a mortgage for 15 years. And it doesn't sound odd. Oh my God, take money today and I pay after 15 years. But not, I will not take a loan for 15 years and buy a fridge, for example. So the same thing, the bank will not finance you for 15 years to buy a fridge. But it doesn't matter if you're buying an apartment, so it's the same thing.
In this case, how a small chemical companies can compete with global giants with huge vaults of money?
No, see, if you take about the chemical companies, the chemical manufacturers, they are not giving the credit.
Okay. It's the distributors who are giving
It's
the
the
credit.
distributors. Yeah. Yes, it is not that the chemical companies also give to some distributors. They also give credit. Yeah, but we also supply directly to tanneries. Like when I worked in Europe in tanneries, we hardly had distributors. And if there was a distributor, normally is because he's a leather technologist. He's also adding, he's giving us a value added service. And you would buy, like, why would I buy from a distributor if I know the chemical supplier?
Yes, that was my next question. Why someone should buy from a distributor?
So now, if they want to have, I would like to buy at a very short lead time. I need material. I want to place an order. I need it today. I will not forecast. I need it today. So it's like, I think buying from a distributor is like an added
convenience, maybe.
Added convenience. Yeah. So if you want to buy from a convenience store, then you have to pay a certain price. You want to go to the supermarket, you pay a different price, and you want to go to the main market, then you pay a different price. So
and the MOQ will also vary, right? For a distributor, you can get a small quantity, but
Yes,
with the
of
chemical,
so
you have
yeah,
to
yeah,
order
yeah.
more.
I think
Right?
some people also would like to have repacked material and things
Mhm.
like this.
Mhm.
So in
Smaller
that case,
samples like
yeah.
that.
So I think there they see the value of a distributor.
Mhm. Mhm.
They would not even approach a chemical company directly. But whereas if you're a big manufacturer,
Mhm.
you would also say, okay, maybe I can buy directly from the chemimal company. And in India there are several tanners who buy directly
Mhm.
from different chemical companies. Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
is also
Typically,
there.
what would be the MOQ, sir? To come to a chemical company before I should think coming to a chemical company directly? What should be?
Normally for us it's like a standard pallet size.
Okay.
A standard batch size or a
Mhm.
standard pallet size
Mhm. Mhm.
is normally the thing. But if you see leather chemicals,
Mhm.
the quantities you use also is very different. If you're using a preservative or a slippage and you use one like 0.1 or 0.2
Yes.
percent,
Mhm.
but if you use a fat liquor or a syntan, it could be 5 to 10%.
Mhm. Mhm.
So normally, a chemical company or even a distributor prefers to sell full pack size. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So with
or a
one
full
pallet,
pallet size. Yeah,
yeah. Okay. How many will be the weight, sir, of the full pallet? Maybe rough.
maximum is a ton.
Okay. Okay.
Maximum is 1 ton. Yeah, but
Mhm.
then if you're using it, then you need the infrastructure for it. You need to
Mhm.
have forklifts, and you
Yeah.
need to have
The
proper
inventory.
racks.
Yes. To store them.
It's not that you are touching it.
Mhm.
You just
Mhm.
you did touch it once or twice.
Mhm.
It doesn't make any sense that if you're moving around a lot or repacking it and things like this.
Okay. So
Yeah.
a tanner can come directly to a chemical company if they are ready to purchase somewhere close to a ton.
Normally,
Normally.
yeah,
Normally.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Normally, I think chemical companies are okay to it.
Mhm.
Okay, certain companies, we may have some strategies that we may say, okay, this particular area, we just want to work with the super stockist because we
Mhm.
also want to, because we find that maybe it is more efficient to work like that.
Ah.
That,
Okay.
let's say a particular market is 300 tons a month.
Mhm.
Huh?
Mhm. Mhm.
Maybe you put everything there and you have a super stockist and who is offering the product.
Mhm.
So it would make sense because it's also uh, far more efficient to buy from someone who is very good in supply chain.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So
who
based
can
on
manage
the.
supply chain far better because our core
Mhm.
competence
Mhm.
is really making the products, working
Mhm.
on
Mhm.
benchmarking products, positioning products, huh? And
Mhm.
just producing it and sell in standard pack sizes.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, sir. Then, so it's really based on the usage of the product. So if it's a preservative, it may not be a ton. It may be 100 kgs or 200
Yeah, because
kgs.
then normally the pack
Because,
sizes are also like that. A cross-linker, normally they even pack
okay.
only 5 kilos.
Okay. So one pack will be 5 kg.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's like a cross-linker,
Mhm.
because if you open it,
Mhm.
it will
Mhm.
just get, you need to use it within a few hours. So normally
Yes.
they will keep it
Yes.
at,
Shelf life is important. Yes.
so it's also shelf life
Mhm.
driven.
Mhm.
So the complexities in leather chemical business is quite a lot because, first of all, we have a lot of products, and
Mhm.
then we have each product in different pack sizes also.
Mhm.
So, so this all adds to complexities, and when there
Okay.
is more complexity, there is more costs.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and if you are a customer who is picking something less complex,
Mhm.
then of course you will get an advantage. If you're buying two fat liquors and let's say two syntans to make your leather,
Mhm.
you're going to have an added advantage compared to the guy who is buying 15 products to make a same piece of leather.
Mhm.
Because you lose critical volume, you need more forecasting, more storage of chemicals and things like this.
Okay.
But then again, you might be making something uniquely special type of leather.
Mhm. Mhm.
And if your customer is willing to pay for it, why not?
Great. Great.
Yeah.
So you almost have more than 25 plus years of experience
Yes.
in this industry.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest lesson that you have learned in chemical business that no one talks about?
Patience. I think,
Mhm.
as I said, leather is a very, very traditional business. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, so there is a certain element of conservativeness about it. There's a certain element of nostalgia about it. Mm, um, and I remember when I was studying in the UK, I went for a tannery visit from the college to a tannery that was making vegetable tan leather,
Mhm.
and And I asked the technical director, "Oh, how long it takes to make this?" It was a really amazing, nice piece of leather, real vegetable tan leather, nice, the smell of leather, the smell of vegetable tannin and fish oil, like if you like leather, this is it. And then he told me it's 1 year and 1 day. So, and I was thinking, I asked him, why that 1 day? Can you not do it in a year? No, no, no. We do it in a year and in a
One day.
year and a day,
Mhm.
because that's how it has been always done.
Mhm.
So leather is a very, very traditional business, and patience is really important, and particularly when we launch new products, new technologies,
Mhm.
and we want to change something completely. Even things like reducing the amount of water. A lot of things is um, driven by government agencies, given by brands to bring efficiency into the process. Yeah. So tanners all over the world traditionally are reluctant to make any major changes, because they have a simple thing of, well, if it is not broken, why should I fix it? I've been doing it for so many years. I'm selling it. Why do I need to change? So that's the normal tendency of the industry. Now, if you want to launch a new product, or you want to make a part of a different solution, for it to be successful, you may think that, oh, in a year I will sell I don't know, 1,000 tons or something. But if it's the right product, most time you may think that in a year I will sell 1,000 tons, and in 3 years I will sell 5,000 tons. If it's the right product, maybe it will take 2 years to sell 1,000 tons. In 5 years, maybe you sell 10,000 tons. So you could never.
Okay.
So that's why patience, and the continuous learning, understanding of how things are changing, what is driving the change, is really very important.
I think it's also true for one's career, because it's always starts slow,
Yes.
but the growth always goes
Yeah.
exponential after that.
Yes.
So the start is always slow,
Yes. Yes.
but it's stable.
And in this day and age, and I think it's also important for all of us to understand that it's not a linear curve. It's not like a linear line. Not everything goes up in life. Sometimes it will also go down. And this is what whole experience is about. And those are the moments you reflect, and you learn, and you come back stronger. I think that is also very important. I think I also find sometimes people think that it's like a linear line, and no aspect of life is like that. And certainly, being a leather technologist, or someone running a tannery, or being a distributor, it's not the same. You are going to have ups, and you are also going to have downs, and sometimes long periods of down. But you need to keep doing the right thing, and believe in the process, and believe in your ability, and bridge the gaps.
Okay, so
Yeah.
and talking about change, Smith and Zoon is a 200-year-old
Yeah.
company. So how do companies like Smith and Zoon, who are
Yeah.
very old,
Yeah.
approach innovation?
See, Smith. If I look at Smith and Zone, currently is the seventh generation as the owner. Yeah. You think about it. 1821, they started the company. The amount of turmoil they have seen in the world. Forget about the leather industry. In the world, wars, pandemics, uh,
Economic shifts, lot of
economic
things.
shifts, maybe in the past, maybe even accidents, and for fire, certain things happening. If fire has burned down something, globalization, to adapt to all these type of things, the level of resilience must be quite something else. Yeah. And what I find it fascinating is that, okay, at least in this case, it's very unique that 7 generations of this family have been associated with the company in some form, working in the company. Not just as a outside
Shareholder or
investor
something.
or a shareholder. And uh, and I'm sure I know I really hope that I'll also work with the 8th generation, at least for some part of my life. So I think when you work with a company like this, I think you look at the things with a different perspective. Yeah, and particularly for someone like me, who worked with Lanxess, BASF, you really look at things differently, and I think that's one of the biggest learnings, that that how different people at different times, uh, over the past 200 years, uh, have done things that finally today, I think we are the third largest chemical company in the world, uh, having offices, employing people, uh, all over the world, And if I take India, uh, I think directly and indirectly we employ at least 200 people. Yeah, at least, maybe even more. Yeah, but directly itself, I know that we touch more than 100 lives, uh, as a company. So I think that's something that is to be proud of, at least for the Smith family, that they start something more than 200 years ago, and not only they have a presence, but a majority of the people who work for them maybe spend most of their lives working for them. Uh, and and it's also a great inspiration, something nice to share with your friends, with your family, that a legacy can be built like that. Yeah.
Okay, sir. So the approach on innovation is not only on the chemical business, but on the
I
whole
think
company.
innovation is also is about, of course, in your core product you need to be innovative, in what you do, and you need to adapt to changes that is happening around you. But it's also about the purpose of doing the business. I think that is also there. I think every company, like if I take Smith, if we look at innovation, if you look at it purely from a product point of view, as a leather technologist, now we have the R, which is the research, and we have the development, which is basically, so we come from also new molecules where we have patents, but that is only very small part of what we do. Yeah. But when it comes to application level formulations, making compact systems, products where you can use less water, where you have better exhaustion, and these type of things are done as a team. So that innovation happens not individually, but we have systems in place whereby this innovation is gathered. Whether some guy is achieving something unique in Mexico, or somebody achieves something in Kanpur, or in China, all this knowledge is somehow captured, and then that is processed, and then it can come up with an innovative way of solving a problem in a better way. And sometimes even this means using less of our products can also be. Yeah.
Okay.
But the drive is more towards solving a problem, because that only keeps you sustainable, to be relevant to your customer.
Okay. So it's all about solving problems and capturing the knowledge and democrating it towards the system. Great, sir. And talking about systems, when we talk about automobile industry, everybody says the future is EV. Some says hybrid. Some says it's hydrogen fuel cell.
Yes.
So there is always talk about future.
Yeah.
So what do you think will be the future for the chemicals? That's it's some new chemical is going to come in next 5 years or 10 years that's going to change this. So what are those buzzwords that currently going in the industry?
See, in the chemical space, it's about safety. Basically, it's really about the interaction of that chemical molecule. If you're going to wear, if you're going to wear a shoe, even people wear shoe without a socks. People wear gloves, so they're in direct contact with leather. Yeah. So I think that is one of the main things that people want to know about. Leather as a product is bio based. So if you think about it, I don't think you can make leather less than 75% bio based. It's not possible. because we are very lucky that we start with a material which is fully bio-based. Yeah. So what chemical companies can do is that, okay, how do we increase that bio-based content in a safe way? So we already make leathers which are 90% bio-based, for example. Yeah. We really like to look at end of life chemicals which can after the use of the product can be compostable, for example. Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't have a negative impact on the planet if it goes to a landfill, if it is burnt. huh? So people really think about it from that point of view. What if the waste is incinerated? What if the waste goes to a landfill? So these are some of the things that as chemical manufacturer, as any chemical manufacturer, that we see the need to be responsible for. That what we make as a product, how does it get used, and end of life, what happens? Yeah.
Okay, so it's all about biodegradability and bio-based.
Yeah,
So that's going to be
basically,
the
it's
future.
almost like it's cradle to cradle. So it was cradle to grave. So and now it's cradle to cradle. It's about traceability. What is the impact of that? Life cycle assessment is something that is a big thing for chemical companies now. Because why? Because eventually a customer might want to know to make this product, what all has happened. How long has it traveled? What is the carbon footprint? How much water was used in making this product? All these type of renewable resources. That is going in to make these products. So I think these things will become very important for us as chemical suppliers and also as tanners to keep leather as a relevant product and as a product of choice. Yeah.
Great. So when I was in my third year, doing BTechs,
Yeah.
so you came for the campus interview and you hired 10 to 15 other technologists.
Yes.
I remember that very clearly because it was one of the biggest recruitment that happened that time.
Yeah.
So first, my question is, why did you do that? Why that mass recruitment?
Yeah.
And has that paid off for what the objective was?
See, at the time, basically, Smith and Zoon decided to have a legal entity in India. So we wanted to have our own legal entity in India. We wanted to have our own production setup. We wanted to have application centers in all the major clusters. Yeah. So we definitely needed people, and we wanted to have a balance of people. So we said, okay, we're going to hire some experienced people who have already worked in the industry, but we will also take somebody fresh from the college. And I was lucky enough to be the head of the organization and also being a leather technologist. My comfort zone is to work with leather technologists. Yeah. And CLRI being the premier institute for leather technology in the country, this was straight away my first choice. Of course, we also hired people in Kanpur from the Kanpur Leather Technology Institute, also from Kolkata, but majority of the people we hired from CLRI, and then we put them in different areas. Was it successful? Yes, I think it was. We still have several of them working with us in different functions, and also several of them who have moved on and are our customers. Even last week, one of our ex-colleagues who is now working with Echo liked one of the collections from the catalog, and that leather is going to be sent to the Netherlands for approval and things like that. So I think in a way, from that point of view, it was a very good. It was a good experience, definitely for us, and I hope it was the same for also the students. I think most of them spent at least 2 years with us. I think the management training program was for 18 months, but most of them spent more than 2 years. 2 years with us. Yeah.
Okay. So in that journey, particular journey,
Yeah.
have you ever felt that the technology should have known more in any other space, or they lack some knowledge in other space where the upcoming technologies can learn and do better
I
than.
think, see, there will be always a gap. I remember when I finished my degree,
Mhm,
um, and I took up my first job. There were several things that I was quite ready. Particularly when it comes to the core leather science and leather technology part. But then when it comes to mechanical operations, when it comes to management of a
mhm,
department,
mhm,
when it comes to record, recording the findings in a proper way,
mhm,
these things all helped me a lot because my
mhm,
education helped me a lot. But there are also gaps.
mhm,
Particularly people management is one. How do you present something is also very, very important. Uh, uh, Trying to understand, taking time to understand things, and there are some basic skills are there, like computing today. When I did my project, I wrote it by hand. Huh?
mhm, mhm,
Today, you expect it to be a Word document.
mhm,
Huh? You expect people to know Excel. You expect people to be able to handle PowerPoint.
mhm,
Huh? So these things are definitely things from a communication point of view that you would expect from anybody.
mhm,
And I think definitely there are some areas I thought that they should have been better trained, because at the end of the day, um, I think when you study in an university,
mhm,
I think pretty much everybody gets more than 90% anyway, or else you can't you know you can't get so as students you're all the same. uh,
mhm,
it's about updating the syllabus, being relevant to what is happening, and particularly when it comes to leather technology, you
mhm,
know really what is going to happen. You're
mhm,
going to either work in a tannery, you're going to work for a brand, you're going to work for a chemical company. huh? So, for example, uh, knowing about an audit,
mhm,
how an audit happens. So let's say a leather working group audit happens. I think it's very important. Hmm?
mhm, mhm,
Knowing about restricted chemicals, huh? Development on restricted chemicals, knowing about uh, treatment for treatment of waste. huh? Like what I mentioned about keeping the acid liquors and the alkaline liquors separately. huh?
mhm,
These type of things are really important, because I think that's what a new student can bring into a traditional industry. huh?
mhm,
When they can bring their science and the technology approach that as a student of Anna University can bring. I think that's
mhm.
what is really important. Yeah. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Sir. So there's a last question I want to ask in a technical space.
Yeah.
Typically, when you go to a tanner, it's not like that product will be the first product that they'll be purchasing for the process. There will already will be a product
Yeah.
in place of that product.
Yeah.
So, what convinces a tanner
Yeah.
to switch from the existing supplier
Yeah.
to a new one?
See, okay, this is like two ways of it. Like, how do I see the customer and how
Mm,
does the customer see you? Huh?
mhm, mhm,
Basically, normally, why does a tannery, if I think about when I worked in a tannery,
mhm,
what was one of the main reasons I would switch a product is normally supply reliability.
mhm,
Because normally uh, quality, I've not had, too many quality problems in life. It is not that I've never had, but
mhm,
when there is a quality issue, yeah, and how they handle the quality issue, you know,
mhm,
does the supplier really take ownership for it and do his best? Because mistakes can happen. Huh?
mhm,
Yeah, but how do you handle that is really very important.
mhm,
I think that's one of the reason. Either it is supply reliability or it
mhm,
is quality. Is why a tannery normally decides to change a product. But as a chemical company, as a supplier, when I meet a customer,
mhm,
it's all about adding value.
mhm,
Why do I expect a customer to buy a product from me
mhm,
or switch from a certain product to our product? Is purely value addition, and it's
mhm,
about what is important for the customer. Does the customer want to reduce his process time? Does the customer want to improve his bio-based content on leather? Does the customer want to make leather more lightweight?
Mhm.
So these are, so we approach it, at least I certainly approach it from a technical point of view as a chemical company that, yeah. And how do we do it? We do it by showing our competence, like we have our application labs, we are having our collections of leather.
Mhm.
We are driven by fashion, so we
Mhm.
work with also fashion designers, and of course we also go and meet customers. When we these things they normally share with us.
Mhm.
um, and our aim is very simple, is that
Mhm.
okay, when you have a problem, like Smith and Zoon should be at least in your top three
Mhm.
persons that I have a problem and I would like to ask, at least we should be in the top three. And how can you be in the top three is on how you behave, and how do you show your competence
Mhm.
in the rest of the time. That when there is a trouble, when there is an issue, and when they want to find a solution, that they see you as part of the solution. Yeah.
Okay. So it's all about solving the problem
Yes. Yes.
for that particular time. At
Particular
what
time. I think
convinces the
that's how
tanner? Mhm.
majority of the time that's why the customer
Shift the
switches. Yeah,
switches.
normally
Mhm.
switches. Yeah.
Great, sir. So at last, sir, so what the advice would you like to give to someone who wants to build a brand, a long-term brand in leather chemical space, apart from patience?
uh, See, if it's about building a long-term brand, it always I think the first most important thing is that you should be interested in this.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
uh, I'm very blessed that I only wanted to be in the leather space. For me, it didn't matter whether I was working in a tannery.
Mhm.
Actually, I wanted to work only in a tannery. I wanted to be in making leather. And then one thing led to another. I ended up working for a chemical company.
Mhm.
And again, in a chemical company, I only wanted to be on the technical side of things.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. I also have a management qualification, just to help me handle my professional career better.
Mhm.
But I always wanted to be on the technical side.
Mhm.
But one thing led to another, and then I got into sales. Now I'm heading the operations. I take care of R&D. I take care of production, and I happen to enjoy every aspect of my different roles.
Mhm.
Particularly when I'm leading this.
Mhm.
And I think when you want to build something long term, I think it's really important to go with your natural instinct. You know,
Mhm.
and and I was very clear early in my career that this is what I wanted to be.
Mhm.
I was also very clear what I did not want to be. Yeah,
Mhm.
because of prejudice.
Mhm.
And today I'm doing a lot of the things which I did not want to be,
Mhm.
but be- but really enjoying doing it. So when I think about it, I think I should have had a more open mind
Mhm.
at the early stage of my career. Huh? It has worked out well for me. I think it has been driven by need of the organization, need for my team. Huh? At that moment,
Mhm.
someone had to step up. Huh?
Mhm.
In sometimes it was me, sometimes it was some of my other team members, and maybe what we are doing today is not exactly what we wanted to do, but the whole process, the whole journey, we have enjoyed it. So I will just say that start with your gut instinct,
Mhm.
do what you're good at,
Mhm.
keep developing on it.
Mhm.
And for leather technologists,
Mhm.
as I say, it's a science, it's not art. If
Mhm.
you're also very good at art, it's only an added bonus,
Mhm.
but you cannot ignore the science part of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And have an open mind, I think definitely you will be successful. Yeah,
Yes, sir. So B is one career or building a brand. It's about having an open mind
sure.
in the first few years of your career.
Definitely.
That's what
Open
is
mind,
going to help
and
you.
and
Mhm.
try to start with something that you think that you like to do.
Mhm.
Because if you
Mhm.
like to do something, there's a very good chance you're going to be very good at it. Yeah,
Mhm.
over a
That
period of time. Yeah.
got it, sir. Got it, sir. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you
And
very
thanks for
much.
this podcast.
Thanks.
And we'll see you back
Sure.
definitely.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir. Thank you.